We're joined by one of the newest Giants, Blake Martinez, who comes over for the Green Bay Packers. And first and foremost, Blake, how are you and your family holding up with this virus and everybody kind of doing their part to self-quarantine?
No, yeah, we're holding up pretty well. I think there's good moments and bad moments. Obviously, you're stuck in your house for so long. There's only so much you can do, especially we have a little one that's 2 years old, and she goes crazy after a certain amount of time doing the same toys over and over again. But overall, we're doing fine. We're just kind of waiting to see what happens next.
All right, so we'll get back to that in just a bit, but explain to the fans out there, to the Giants fans that are watching, what led you to the New York Giants? Why was that a good fit for you and your family?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of things that went into it. I think for me going into it was a young team, very talented. Pat Graham, obviously our defensive coordinator, he's an amazing coach. I had him for a year, and I think that's what kind of led me to want to go to the Giants so much, was because of how smart he is, what he's able to do every single week to get you prepared for that given Sunday, whether it's individual drills, in the meeting rooms. Every single week I felt like I went into the games and knew exactly what was going to happen, where I needed to be on any given call. I just felt so prepared that it just made me want to go back and be coached by him again. And then the other aspects, obviously New York, a lot more stuff to do for my wife. So she was super excited for that. And obviously the market, it's an awesome market to be in, to play football and play really good football in. And so, yeah, that's kind of the main aspects of why I kind of wanted to end up there.
Were you surprised that the Giants came after you as aggressively as they did?
I think it was somewhat surprising just in the main aspects of things, because for me, I didn't grow up with a ton of money or anything like that. So just even when I stepped into football, I was like, oh, I could play football for $5. So being able to have this opportunity and be able to get paid, obviously as much as I'm going to get paid to play football, it was just an amazing feeling to have a team value me for as what they did. And it just makes me that much more excited to step in the facility and like I said, play amazing football for them.
What are some of the things that Giants fans can expect from you as a football player?
Yeah, I think for me is the physicality, intelligence. I think at Stanford we had a saying, intellectual brutality was kind of our saying. So it's smart but physical. And I think that's kind of my whole motto for myself. I'm going to go out there and call the defense. I'm going to make everyone play that much better, because they can be that much more calm knowing that I'll get them right, I'll get them situated, I'll tell them, hey, this is what I'm expecting for the given play call, this is what I'm expecting for the offensive play. All right, this is the situation, 3rd down and 10, 3rd down and 6, 3rd down and 2, 2nd down and 10. Okay, they ran the ball first, they're going to pass the ball, whatever ends up being, just giving small information here and there that allows the defense to thrive. And then just overall, for me, I think a great community guy. I think that's one of the things that I thrive myself on is being the guy that's going to give back to the community, do a lot of things, whether it's, for me, I'm super passionate in the kind of children's cancer foundations and things like that. So just being out there in the public and giving back whenever I can.
Growing up in the Tucson area, playing at Stanford, then starting your career in Green Bay, now you come all the way to the East Coast. What do you know about the New York Giants and the history of the New York Giants?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of amazing history there. Obviously, the most recent is the catch by David Tyree. Obviously, Lawrence Taylor. Just a lot of great people played there, and a lot. Michael Strahan. You see a lot of things, and that's one of the things that once again drew me there. Where talking to my agent, he was just like, "Hey, you go to the Giants, you play amazing football, you're a legend." And it's one of those things that gets you excited to step onto that field and know how great it is to be a part of that historic franchise.
Have you had many conversations with new head coach Joe Judge?
So we've only had one so far, just kind of an introduction thing, talking about the free agency process and things like that, and just excited to kind of finally get started. And same with him, he just knew we were kind of in this limbo stage of the coronavirus, not knowing what's next. but just both talking about how excited we are to kind of get started.
Does it cause you concern, or I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. Let's put first things first. But the fact that you got this deal with the Giants, you're starting with a new team, off-season program should be starting pretty soon, and there's all this uncertainty. You haven't even had a chance to see the facility yet.
Yeah, it's a little concerning, but I think for me, that's one thing that I've always pride myself on, was being able to pick up things quickly. So kind of hoping for that to kind of stick with me and be able to kind of carry me through this, where if all of a sudden we get the playbook 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the season, or whatever ends up being, finally get to take reps 4 weeks before the season, whatever ends up happening, I think I'll be able to adapt to that and kind of situate through that and find solutions to allow myself to be ready for that first week, first preseason game, first season game, whatever ends up being.
The draft is within 1 month now, and everybody gets enamored with the first round, but there's so many players that become great players that were not first round draft picks. You were taken in the 4th round out of Stanford. What were some of the keys to enable you to have this success on the NFL level, and some of the people that helped you out to become the player that you've become as you've now gone into this second contract?
No, yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing was thriving in the uncomfortability. I think that was my biggest thing that I put forth for myself, is right when I stepped in that facility, no matter who it was, like right when I stepped in, saw Aaron Rodgers, saw Clay Matthews, saw all these amazing players across the board, Julius Peppers, Jordy Nelson. And it was like not being, oh my gosh, these guys are amazing. It's, hey, I'm one of these guys now, and I want to become one of these guys. So I'm going to step into the facility every day. I'm going to sit in my locker, rewatch practice right when it's over. I'm going to go to the meeting room, watch practice over before we watch practice as a group, see the mistakes I made, see the things I need to correct. Also didn't go and watch extra film at night, watch these types of things, make sure I have all the checks and everything down. Because when I stepped in my rookie year, all 2 guys were injured that were starting at the inside linebacker spot. And so all of a sudden I stepped in, and if I didn't do those things right when I started, they wouldn't have all of a sudden trusted me, and I would have messed up, and they would have been like, oh, okay, this is another 4th rounder that's going to be a special teamer or whatever. And then instead they were like, hey, since you're doing so well, all right, we're going to give you the green dot, and we're going to see if you can call the plays. And all of a sudden, since I knew all the checks and everything for my studying, now I made all the checks and all those things during practice and live reps. And they were like, oh my God, like this dude can do this too. Okay, well now we have our guy. And it allowed me to be able to take that first step, and then from that thrive on the field and make my play kind of stand for itself, and kept my job for the last 4 years.
So you're like one of those overnight sensation rock and roll bands. Whenever you call those guys, yeah, it was a 10-year overnight sensation. There's a lot of hard work that goes into what you've accomplished, isn't there?
Oh yeah, no, it's a lot of hard work, and I think for me and my trainer, like you said, the people that have helped me, my trainer, my mobility coach as well, my parents, they all have allowed me, and then as recently my wife pushing me every single day to get my butt out of the bed when it's the 6 o'clock wake up, and I'm like, okay, I need to go work out. Like I need to go stretch, do the small things. It's just all across the board. All of them have told me, just treat it like you're an undrafted free agent every year, that you have to prove everything every year. And another thing my trainer tells me all the time is success is a planned event. And so every single day we step into the weight room, we're doing things that allow me to get better at my craft, whether it's strengthening my strike, making my movement laterally quicker, whatever it ends up being. So when I step on that field come August, come September, I'm doing these things, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, Blake's this, that, this. And I'm like, okay, well, I knew this was going to happen because I put that work in.
The New York Giants, obviously for a younger generation like yourself, you know about the Strahans and the O.C. Umenyuras and Justin Tucks, but the organization has a history of linebackers going into the 50s with Sam Huff, who's a Hall of Famer. Then Harry Carson in the 70s and 80s, a Hall of Famer. You mentioned Lawrence Taylor. There's Carl Banks. There's Pepper Johnson. There's Jesse Armstead, Antonio Pierce into the 2000s. It's an important role. How do you take that responsibility on your shoulders?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just taking it one day at a time and focusing on what I can control. And for me, it's just learning the playbook, and then from that standpoint, doing exactly what the coach needs me to do on that given day. And then, like I said, making the improvements every single day, whether it's certain mistakes I made in practice or certain things I did well but can do better. And once I keep doing that and keep kind of, like I say, chopping wood at that, then all of a sudden when it comes Sunday, I'm making plays in the backfield, I'm interceptions or pass breakups, sacks, all these types of things. It's all because of those day-to-day processes that I've been doing.
All right, so we'll have a little fun here to wrap it up. You mentioned you have a 2-year-old at home. Obviously, we're all trying to do our part to get this coronavirus curve down. So it's staying at home, social distancing, helping around the house. Are you good in the kitchen?
Actually, yes. That's like one of my second hobbies is cooking. I love cooking.
All right, so what have been some of your go-to meals? And if it was the Super Bowl and you had to prepare your best meal, what's the Blake Martinez special?
I don't know what to call it, but basically, me and my wife work hand in hand. It's either I'm doing the main dish, she does the side dishes and stuff. But we basically go with this I don't know, it's like a pasta dish, and it has every type of vegetable you can think of, whether it's asparagus, spinach, it's got artichokes, it's got sun-dried tomatoes, and then it has chicken and shrimp in it. And then so we basically put all of that together, and then we'll have a side dish of something, whether it's, I don't know, rice or sweet potatoes or whatever you kind of want to put in there. So that's kind of our go-to whenever we're oh yes, this is the night we're going to make this.
Well, when you get to the Quest Diagnostics Training Center, you're going to want to meet the executive chef, Angelo Vasiliamo, because he is going to help you with some recipes too to diversify the game plan if you want, because he is the master.
Oh, yeah.
Blake, we appreciate a couple minutes. Welcome to the New York Giants. Hopefully we'll see you sooner rather than later, but be safe out there, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Giants fans, Saquon Barkley here. You want to see more videos? Subscribe below.